For me personally, it started with me understanding how the world works and why things are the way it is. And that motivates me to want to bring change. And I also understand that it's only us, the poor, the working class, that can really liberate ourselves. And for me, it's imperative for me to do this. I have to do it because it's our future, it's our kids. Our dream can only be realized if we organize. So we have to build this housing assembly so that we can realize our dream of decent housing for all.
In Cape Town, the social engineering of apartheid included rigorous spatial engineering and urban planning. Since the 1950 Group Areas Act, wealthy white residents were able to live close to the city in suburbs with services of a first world standard. Plumbed homes and schools, drinking water and electricity, safe local parks, sandy beaches, and green recreational spaces. And everyone else? We were forced to settle east of the economic center in segregated suburbs with poor services and long work commutes. Natural barriers like rivers and valleys, as well as man-made features like highways, railway lines, and sewage treatment works, were used as barriers to keep our different racial communities separate. 21 years since apartheid ended, South Africa is still one of the most unequal societies in the world. Cape Town visibly reflects this inequality in our overcrowded eastern suburbs.
Omdat dan ons sien ons het ons nou uitgesien wat ons hoor Mr. Mandela is buitekant. Hy's 'n vry man, hy breek nou vir ons los nou soos hy losgekom het. Dat ons liewer aan nog stil dieselfde. Ons liewer aan nou 'n vreemde lewe.
Government is way out of what we fought for. It's very much changed now. This is not what we fought for. And they say that if we vote, we will get a better life. There's still no better life. It's only words, which they are saying. Nothing on the ground level. So that is why Housing Assembly decided now, let's take this into our own hands.
We see housing as not the core, but right there in the center of the inequality and right in the center of what's happening with our communities. As the Housing Assembly, we've identified 4 different housing types. Backyarders, informal settlements, badly built RDP houses, and then the rental stock. And we're all suffering from bad housing conditions. And at the core of all our issues is the fact that we have to live like this. Because we can't deal with anything else. We have to deal with this every day.
Fire in winter, rain in winter, you never sleep well when you stay in an informal settlement. And it makes your life also not be stable, when you live in an informal settlement.
Ek het gebly in Kailicha, op iemand se grond. En ek het gebly vir 11 jaar daar. En so skielik het die man gekom en die man sê, kyk, ek wil my grond hê, julle moet afbreek op 'n Saterdag. En het was 'n skok vir my. En toe kom bly ons nou hierso. Hier in Skalo, het was so lekker vir my in die begin toe ek hier kom bly het. Maar dit is baie difficult, want die water is vir, daar's nie water nie, daar's nie kraggie, die plek is 'n private land. So ons bly maar hier sonder hoop, omdat ons nie 'n ander plek het om te gaan bly nie.
People ask here, we are better off than Marikana because they are using field where it's so much dangerous. Even if this one here, still not safe at night time, because at night time you have to use a bucket.
We named Marikana after Marikana of Rustenburg. The first Marikana was in Rustenburg. And then we had hardships here. And then we feel the pain of Marikana of Rustenburg. That's why we named this place Marikana too. They told me, you're not supposed to be here. I say, where must I be? Ek sê, gee my 'n plek as jy dan sien ek behoort nie hier nie.
Even your feet is in the way. It's like you walk, there's never space ever. If everybody's here And everybody wants to be here, obviously, because we're their parents. And so when everybody's inside here, you have to monitor. You have to really monitor who walks past, who and when. And so if somebody has to do something in the kitchen, not everybody can go. And everybody wants to be in the kitchen. Then you have to decide, no? Okay, the two of you can get to go and make bread, and then you have to come back, and then somebody else has to go, because if everybody's in the kitchen, it doesn't work at all. It's chaotic. Yeah, and I think the other thing is waking up like you're outside. You know, it's cold. Literally it feels like it's raining in here in the morning. But nevertheless, it doesn't make us less of a family. So we're always on top of what's going on with our children. That's probably the only advantage that we have living in a small space like this. But otherwise, it's horrible to live like this.
And it's not often spoken about the mental impact it has, you know, how it really weighs you down, because like Faiza was saying, we come home from office. I mean, your home should be your sanctuary where you kick off your shoes and relax and feel safe. But sometimes it even feels like you don't want to come home.
For me, I think what rips away my dignity most of the time, and I know other women go through this, living in a shack. When I get my periods, I hate myself. I hate the shack. I hate the space. I hate being here. I want to be a man. You know, I want to change my sex, because now I have to use this bucket to sit on. My husband is right there. And sometimes my children is right here. And sometimes before I do it, I apologize to him, and he's like, you don't have to apologize. This is the right, you have to do this, there's no other choice. And I don't care, he doesn't care. But I do, I care. If we're not going to get any homes, and this policy is going to continue, and we're not going to fight against it, then things are going to get worse. What is worse than this? What is worse than this? Hell is worse than this. The law says that if the city evicts you from anywhere, they have to provide you with alternative accommodation. Nobody's allowed to just be thrown out. And the city came up with a clever idea to put people in what is called a TRA, temporary relocation area, but we call it a concentration camp.
A TRA is an informal settlement that is temporary. But now at the moment, as we all know, a temporary is for a couple of months and not years. But we in Blikkiesdorp are now for 7 years, 8 years, Blikkiesdorp exists.
Everybody just calls it Blikkiesdorp because of, as they say, ons bly in Afrikaans they would say, ons bly in 'n visblikkie. Meaning that we are all sardines packed into a tin. It might be a blikkie, but at least something that I can be proud of because it's my own. I don't owe anybody, whereas when I will be moving, I'm going to have to pay for service deliveries. I am very nervous about it in the first few months. I mean, this isn't the way I was brought up. So I actually feel my children are suffering, but then again, they are behind me with everything I do. So to them, going hungry is like, it's nothing new now. If they are here and they know there's nothing, it's not gonna, they'll be heartbroken, but they're not gonna nag on me, Mommy, I'm hungry, and go on about it. They told me once they're hungry, I say, but no, there isn't. If I can, I'll try to make a way. If not, we go sleep. At least we got the TV to keep us company.
After struggling from living in shacks, backyards and TRAs, people are so excited to move into a government house, but then they find it's falling apart.
These RDP houses are falling apart because it's houses for profit and not for need, and everybody trying to make a buck out of this houses that's being built.
All right enough. Government think those houses are so beautiful. People accept it as it is. Some of the people accept it because they have no choice to accept it, but it's on the inside that's a problem. Like for instance, there's no holes, there's no ventilation. Some of the people don't have electricity, and the roofs alone, the dust in that, especially with the cement they're using. As the children that suffer, it's the elderly that suffers because of that dust.
Ek het gegaan na die kansel toe. Ek het gaan vra vir hom vir jou. Al wat hy my geantwoord het, ek is 'n house owner. I must do on my own.
This is one of the new pocket houses, and it is unfinished. There's no electricity, there's nothing in this house. That actually is supposed to be a decent house.
And you know what is so pathetic? All the keys, they all fit into each other's doors. All the keys. So I can come to your house today or tomorrow and I can come break in or come take your TV because I don't have. You know? And they just said, move in, and all the people was like satisfied in the beginning because it's a roof over their heads. But now it's falling apart.
Nothing can exist if there's no grassroots work. And we've got our own strategy that says, and our strategy is put together by communities, and the strategy says you have to do the door-to-door. We want to gather as much information as well so that we can challenge the city or government on reality.
When I look at a housing assembly, yeah, it's an organization which gives more learning to the people how to go about to fight for their rights. You work for this government, ANC, DA or EFF. We are our own self-communities. We are the people which are staying there.
Njengama-CCTV siphuma housing assembly sifuna ubana ngaba simanyaneni silweleni ubomi obungcono kubantu bonke. Asithi siza nezindlu kodwa siza kuni sicela sinixhasa ubana ngaba masimanyane njengabahlali bembaxa. Kuba kudala sisilwa kwikona ngekona but asiboni imiphumela. Kodwa xa siphakama sisisininzi sinethemba ubana ngaba izinqe zethu zingavakala yaqona. So ngoku siyanimema ubana ngaba ngecawe sizabe sine general meeting apha esidingqini.
In the last 4 years, the Housing Assembly has grown to include over 400 active members from 30 communities across the Western Cape. Our strategy after doing door-to-door is to hold street meetings, speak-outs and workshops on housing in these communities. We as the Housing Assembly also mobilize on issues like water.
This is the scourge of the city of Cape Town. This is what they do to us. These water meters are an evil thing. After a period of time, it cuts off and people are without water till the following day.
But many of these residents don't even have a key to this meter, so the resident can't check for itself how much water is has used.
Sometimes we have 13 people living in a house. Then in the morning you can hear them skelling over water because the last one can't get water. Come out of school, there's no water to make themselves a cup of tea because they use the water in the morning already, it's finished.
We have to fight for decent housing, we have to fight for electricity, we have to fight for our dignity, but we will not compromise water.
We basically feel that it's war on the poor. Because it's basically the poor that not going to be able to afford water.
If our water must be cut off and we don't have water, we won't survive. I don't know how we will survive. So I won't allow anybody to come and cut this water off here. I will switch it on myself. I will go to jail if I have to. But nobody's cutting my water. And we're encouraging our community to do the same. Because you can tell me not to use electricity, you can tell me whatever you like, but you're not going to tell me not to drink water. I can't survive. I will die. You might as well just then sign my whole family's death certificates if you want us to live without water. I won't stand for that. I'm sorry.
The government has made a policy shift. Instead of the decent housing that we demand, they want to give us adequate services. So they are into a whole system of site and services. They are saying that this 5 years is going to be the last. They're going to build houses. But they are now only going to provide sites and services right through South Africa. So our struggle is cut out for us. Because as Housing Assembly, we say yes. We try to bring the little improvements into the lives of our people. But we will not give up the fight for decent housing for all. That is a house where there is amenities, there is crashes for our children, there is streets, there is lighting, there is schools there is recreational facilities, there is parks, and everything that the middle class have. The working class children must also have those things.
So dis deel van die decent houses, parkings en naby skole vir kinders en as jy klein spannetjie het, kresse wat ook lekker veilig is. Dis deel van decent houses.
At times it seems that struggles are forever, but small victories encourage you as people's lives improve, whether it's their actual life or whether it's actually just the mindset of knowing that you don't have to accept the way things are, and that structural abuse from powers or government can be challenged.
We have to fight for better living. If we have to fight for better living, we can't do it person alone. We have to come in solidarity. And to have the solidarity that we have today was hard work. It's still hard work.
In the past, we have seen, as people, we did the regime change. It wasn't, Nelson Mandela that made the history, or Thabo Mbeki that made the history, but it is the people that made the history, and we are coming from that tradition. And I know that if I continue doing this in the mornings, more and more people will become conscientized, and eventually will build a critical mass.
There's no one who's going to help them if they are sitting, folding their arms and looking at the government. So the only best way, we have to come together and start doing something so that government can see and feel that, hey, people are angry now.
Our children is going absolutely nowhere living in these conditions. That's why for us, it's my life. The housing assembly is a way of life for me. I love this and I won't change it. I will fight to the end, not for me, but for all children out there, because they don't deserve this. We were promised and we must hold them to that promise, because they who promised us are living in luxury now.
For me, overall, where the housing assembly is now, where we came from 4 years ago and until we launched, and where we're at right now at this point, there's a buzz. The work that we do, it's capacity building, making people understand why we live in these conditions. And I think people are starting to understand that. And in the housing assembly at the moment, you can feel these people gelling. You need to know who you are as a class. So people are starting to feel that this is where I belong. We even do door to door, and we had this one auntie saying to us one day that, I've been waiting for something like this. And for me, that's a victory, because here she was suffering all alone. Here's people coming to basically scoop her up and say, let's struggle together. And for me, that's the ultimate victory.